Hello there, everyone. This hour on Verbling. The next in my not getting results in business, that's next hour. No. This hour it's the next in my speaking skills series. That's it. This is networking and mingling. We're going to do 5 or 6 classes in this unit. We've begun we've begun already. Last week, we introduced the idea of networking and mingling. And we basically had a discussion about the elements that go into networking and how to identify yourself, and we began to work through the key language that we might need. So we're going to begin there, recapping what we've done, and then we're going to go into a speaking task where you get to mingle here in the classroom. That's a little bit about the class. Here's a bit about me. I'm Jon-Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. Everyone mute your microphones, please, for just a minute. I'm your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up. That means please turn off your microphones when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom quiet. Also, tune in to the new words and new phrases that you're learning. Use them actively so that I can correct you and give you feedback. Finally, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. So, that's a little bit about me. Let me say hello to all of you. First of all, let's say hello to Vincenzo. Vincenzo, long time no see. Where have you been?
I'm studying English in an institute, the Roman Institute, and I'm studying English verbing also, and Spanish.
I haven't seen you in like a year. I don't remember seeing you since last year, last summer maybe.
Yes, could be. Yes, it could be, because I'm more interested in Spanish right now.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
Well, I'm honored that you're back. Nice to see you again.
Okay, please. Nice
Let's
to
say
be nice to be with you, teacher.
good. And welcome back, Daniel. Let's see who else we've got here. Some new faces. Oh, let's see if I can even pronounce your names. Um, is it Abdurim? How do I say your name?
You can just say Abdul. It's easy to.
Abdul. Hello, Abdul. Where are you from?
I'm from Belgium.
From?
Belgium.
From Belgium.
Yes.
Originally?
No.
Okay.
I immigrated to Belgium when I was 14, but I born in Sudan.
In Sudan.
Yes.
I was going to say, I don't know anyone from Belgium with the name Abdul. It sounds not like a Belgian name.
Well, this is the first time, so.
And so you've been there, and so what do you speak? Flemish or French?
I'm from the Flemish part.
The Flemish part. Okay, very good. Well, nice to have you. And another new face is Sepkin. I hope I'm saying that right. Sepkin?
Yes. Sepkan.
Sepkan. Where are you from?
I'm from Turkey.
From Turkey. Okay, very good. Nice to have you. And welcome back, Paolo, as well. So listen, everyone. If you don't have the material open, I'll give you the link in a second. It's there, but I'll give it to you again. And we're going to share this document together. Let me give you the link right now. Chat window. And when you open it, you'll see this graphic, so you know you're in the right place. Speaking skills. There's my contact on the second page if you want. And finally, every class in this unit, I'm going to add to the table of contents. So let's just quickly take a look at last week. Last week, we decided that our objectives for the unit were to be able to discuss how to make a good first impression and to practice introductions and icebreakers at an event. So I asked everyone if they had a business card and what was on their business card. We talked about a name, a title, a position, and maybe even the company logo. Then we talked about social customs. When do you give out a business card? Well, okay. Well, then we started to talk about how to make a good first impression. So let's go to today's class, and some of you weren't here last week, so let's add a little bit of a warmer. And what happens if you don't have a business card? Not all of you are in business. So my question, just to begin with, is how do you make a good first impression? What do you do if you don't have a business card? Let me fix the font here. 1 second. There we go. So let me change the question like this. Last week we talked more about business, but what do you do if you don't have a business card? In other words, how do you get your identity across quickly? And how do you make a good first impression? So let's talk about that just as a little bit of a warm-up. How do you get your identity across quickly? I'm asking about your personal experience now. So think about the last time you had to socialize or mingle. By the way, just quickly, let's define the words networking and mingle. First of all, what do you think I mean by networking? You were here last week, Daniel, so what do I mean by networking?
I think if you don't have a card presentation, maybe asking for the phone number. Nowadays, everybody, or almost everybody, has a smartphone, and you can send your identification for social network media.
Right, right. So you can just, I don't know how to say this in English because when I was in America, no one had mobile phones. That's how long ago it was since I lived there. When you just ring someone, I guess that's what we would say in English.
In Spain, you ask, do you have WhatsApp? Yes, and then you add this news number of telephone, and then you can send your name or whatever.
Okay. I was going to say, because in Portuguese, we'd say, dar toque, just call so that you can save the number.
A missed call.
Exactly. You said WhatsApp? Is that it? This one?
WhatsApp, yes.
Do all of you use that? Because everyone talks about this.
In Spain, yes. In Spain, if you don't have WhatsApp, you're dead.
Oh my God.
Yes. You are in or out.
Wow. I guess I'm out. What about the rest of you? Do you use social media? Do you use WhatsApp specifically? Isn't that for Facebook?
Yeah. It's another application. In similar application, it is Messenger.
That's an old one.
It's an old one, but it's very efficient.
So the first thing you can do, people don't use business cards so much anymore. Some do. But you can call someone just to, I should save your number, but to have your number saved. I should put it like this. Or what's that? Or or social media. All right. So that's what you can do if you don't have a business card. What about the second thing, which was how do you make a good first impression? How do you make, I'll say, the right first impression?
Yes. It's very difficult to define the right.
Well, try to define it.
The right.
Invite
Yes.
a coffee.
It's very
Coffee.
subjective.
It is. It is subjective. But you think about it in terms of we're all international here, and we all have some idea about what is socially acceptable and not socially acceptable. So there's got to be something that we all agree on. If you're not sure what to do, you can talk about what not to do. That's also possible. So let's say here what to do and what not to do.
Yes.
B, are you asking a question? Because I can hear you talking, but I don't know. Someone was talking. B, was that you?
Yes.
Oh, were you asking a question? Because I couldn't hear you.
I don't know what.
So right now we're discussing 2 points just to begin the class, to warm up. So the first was, what do you do if you don't have a business card? We have 2 ideas there. And the second is, how do you make the right first impression? You could talk about what to do or what not to do. Well, let's start with Mr. Abdul.
So, what to do? Be
What do you
open,
think?
be interested in the other person.
Be open,
Yeah.
be interested.
In other persons.
Mhm.
And certainly what you should not do is, how can I say, ignoring people. So I think that's the most important thing from my side.
Sounds good to me. So let's find out what that actually means. How do you be open? How do you be interested? Can you give an example?
Just for example, be open mean have like an open standing position, for example. Invite it must your position must be that open that you invite people to talk to you. You must also build some trust.
So is there something specifically you would say to be open?
Yeah, like welcome the other person, for example.
Okay.
Even network.
Mhm.
If it in a networking event, for example.
So welcoming others. So do you mean like that you tell me what you would say? Let's see, we're at a social event. It's a work event, but we're socializing. How would you welcome me? I say, "Oh, hello." And you say to me, what?
I am Abdul. Nice to meet you. And I will introduce myself.
Ah. So by welcome others, what you mean is you could first that you'll greet people,
Indeed.
introduce yourself. Okay, sounds good. And is there something that we could say about being interested? How does one be or sound interested? Is there something we can say specifically?
For like example, asking question about the person, where he's coming from, what he's doing for his living, for example.
Sure, asking questions shows interest. Okay, sounds good. Any other ideas before we begin the main part? About, I like the idea here, how to be open, how to be interested, and, well, not ignoring people kind of speaks for itself. Paula, what would you add to being open, interested, or is there anything else we ought to think about with making the right first impression? Would you add anything?
Well, I think it's important to talk about the social medias like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and participate to the congress, seminars, workshops, and trying to receive email or number, no name from the Facebook. For me, it's important. I I think it's cards important, but nowadays social media is more focused on the target and to make a relationship with other people. But it's important for us to pay attention to this kind of specific thing because sometimes I forgot the take the address of other people. But email is important too. And of
So
course, all people who have smartphones like iPhone and send a message, or WhatsApp is other uh, important technique nowadays too.
I must not be important. I think I'm the only one not using any of this.
Yes.
I have accounts, but I never use them. Maybe it's just me. So what you're saying really is just get involved or get involved professionally, professionally and personally, but get involved. So have an account somewhere. Go to functions because you mentioned conferences and events. So just make sure that you're also involved. You can't, I agree with you. You can't really know how to make a first impression if you're not out there practicing it. Well, we're going to take these ideas and we're going to add some English to them. Um, let's see. Yeah, okay. We're going to come back to our definitions in just a second. So here's what I'd like to do. In order to practice, I'd like us to have some specific language that we could use. Look at the 6 topics below. Can you make an appropriate question or statement about these topics that you could use to break the ice? Break the ice means to warm up the room emotionally. When no one knows each other, they tend not to speak to each other. So you break the ice, like what Abdul was saying. Being ready to greet someone, it's one way to break the ice. So, how would you break the ice? Let's start with introducing yourself. Last week we talked about a tagline, and everyone gave their own tagline. Daniel, do you remember your tagline from last week?
Yes, more or less. I'm I'm Daniel Corral from Spain. Uh, uh, Surveyor working for Prointech in Salamanca.
There you go. So the tagline is all of your essential information in one sentence that you could use right from the beginning. Name, job, company, origin. Hi, I'm Jon-Eric, an American teacher working for Verbling Online. Jon-Eric. Origin, American. Job, teacher. Company, Verbling. So if I can put all that together, it's like having a business card. Adi, what would your tagline be?
Hi, my name Odi Satria. I'm an architect from Indonesia. Um,
What's your last name?
Satria S-E-S-A.
Right, Adi, yes.
Adi
So
Odi Sat. Mhm.
I'm an architect from
I'm an
Indonesia.
I'm an architect from Indonesia.
Working for? Are you working or studying?
Working for Inner Space Idea.
What's that?
Inner Space Idea.
Inner space idea.
Yes.
Like this? Inner space idea?
Yeah, you can.
Is it like that?
No, it's
No.
a spirit between inner and space.
Like that?
Yeah, like that.
Interesting. Now, the only problem with that is that I don't know what inner space idea is. So what is inner
No,
space idea?
it's just a name.
I know, but what is
Working
it?
for. Is it for? Uh, what is it? What do you mean?
Well, what is it? What is it? What is inner space idea? Is that a
Is
person,
it?
place, thing?
No, it's a
What?
company.
Oh, that does what?
Yes.
What does it do?
Planning for architecture and interior design.
Ah, so I work for Inner Space Idea, an interior design company.
Yes, an interior design company.
Sounds pretty good. You said something and interior design. I didn't hear the first part. Something and interior design. What was the first thing you said?
Architecture.
And interior design. Is that it?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Art.
Architecture and, oops, can't spell very well. There we go. Instead of saying my name is, you can, but I guess a native speaker would probably just say I'm.
I'm Odi.
Say the whole thing for me.
I'm Odi. I'm an architect from Indonesia working for or working
Sorry, you're
working
right. Working for. Sorry.
working for Inner Space Idea. Architecture,
Should be an
mhm,
architecture. Oh wait, an
an
architecture and
architecture and an interior design company.
sounds great. Where is it based? Where is it located?
Jakarta.
In Jakarta. That's a pretty good tagline. It's got everything you need. Not bad. So I'm not saying you have to do it exactly like this, but the point is, if you have your tagline ready, you can use it as you like. So you can use it or choose not to. Let's see. Sepkin, what would your tagline be?
I'm Sepken, a forester from Turkey. Uh, I'm Sepken, a forester from Turkey, working for General Directorate Forest
Forrester from Turkey?
from
Working
Turkey, working for General Directorate Forest.
General? Direct?
General Directorate
I have no idea what that is. Directorate? Like that?
Forest.
General Forest Directorate.
Yes. General Forest Directorate. As a researcher,
Researcher.
on forest soil and on ecology of soil and forest.
Let's say on
On
soil
soil
and
ecology
forest
and forest ecology, yes.
ecology. Ah, very interesting. Very interesting. Forester. I wonder if that's really how we say it in English. I'm just curious because it's not a job that everyone has. So let me just curious if that's exactly the way we would say forester.
We said forest. We said that forest engineer also.
Yeah. No, but you're right. It's here, forester. You're the first forester I've ever met, Sepkin. So I'm a forester from Turkey working for the we've got to say it kind of like this because it's a government agency, the General Forest Directorate, as the researcher on soil and forest ecology. Wow, that's quite a tagline. Yuki, if you heard Sepkin giving you that tagline,
Yes.
what question would come to your mind? What's the first thing you would ask her?
What a long name of your working place.
Yeah, what does the
What
General Forest Directorate do? What does it do?
uh, what 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 important job you are doing?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, Sebkin, we're going to have a chance to mingle. But as you can see, the tagline is great because immediately we start thinking of questions. So start thinking about how you would describe what what is the your main responsibility, or what's the important thing, as Yuki said. Let's see if we can get one or two more before we go on to the others. So Vincenzo, what about you? How would you give us your tagline? What would you say?
I think it's very simple. I can say I'm Vincent. I'm from Rome, and now I'm retired.
Ah,
Yeah,
a
very simple.
a retiree from Rome, and it rhymes.
Retiree.
Retiree.
Mm.
British English, they might say pensioner, but anyway, in American English, retiree from Rome.
I could say I worked in a telephonic company, like
Ah,
as a computers programmer, and now I am a retiree from Rome.
right. I'm a former computer programmer.
From
Former computer.
computers.
Oh, well, say former, meaning that it's what you did before retiring. I'm a
Yeah.
former computer programmer uh, in the,
In a telephonic company.
but we don't say telephonic, in the telecommunications.
Telecommunication.
Yeah, tele. Yeah. In the telecommunications field or industry or something like that. Anyway, not bad, not bad. Let's see. Paulo, what about you? What's your tagline?
I am psychologist, and I coach too. I have my own business, and I work at the university in Brazil called UNA, and I'm a coordinator of MBA in coaching at the university.
Sounds great. Can you put that together into one tagline, into one sentence? Just like we started off. Hi, I'm Jon-Eric, an American teacher, an American online teacher, uh, working at verbling.com. So I try to take all my information and squeeze it together into one sentence. I'm a psychologist and coach. You could say I'm a psychologist and coach based in, where are you, São Paulo?
Belo Horizonte.
Belo Horizonte.
Yes.
Problem is that talk to an American, they won't know where that is, but but that's all right. It's their problem.
Belo Horizonte, where the World Cup happened when Brazil won from the Chile.
There you go. So what else could we say besides a psychologist and coach based in Belo Horizonte? What other information would we want to add there, Paulo? From the other things that you said, how can we squeeze that into one sentence? What do you think?
I am a coordinator of MBA in coaching at the university.
A coordinator of what coaching?
MBA, Master Business Administration.
Oh, MBA. I'm sorry, I didn't hear. MBA.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a psychologist and coach based in Horizon, as well as an MBA coordinator. There you go. Okay, not bad. So
Thank you.
the rest of you think about your taglines, but let's look at these other topics as well. So let's go through and see what we can say. Some of these should be very easy, like the weather. That one's pretty easy, right? Am I right or am I wrong? Can you make an appropriate question or statement about the others? So let's start with the weather. What's an obvious one?
I live Brazil is warmth weather the majority of time.
Okay. So here in Brazil, it's warm most of the time. I would say most of the time. How do you include the other person into that conversation, Paulo? Here in Brazil, it's warm most of the time. How do we include the listener?
Welcome to Brazil and feel comfortable with the weather.
Okay, but if we're mingling, you can't really invite them to Brazil, but you can invite them to speak. Well, Abdul, you mentioned being open and being interested. So what could Paulo add to the end of his talk about the weather?
What about there? What
Yeah,
about,
indeed.
I'm gonna say, how is the time there? How is your time? I'm gonna say,
What about
your weather there?
yeah?
No,
What about sure? What about there? What
what about
about
there?
where you are? Or
Where you are?
just yeah, both of those. What about there? What about where you are?
Yes.
Or you could just say it in a simple way. What about you?
How is it, the weather there? No, how is it?
But you don't have to say the weather. You don't have to.
Oh, okay.
If you just say what about you, everyone will know you're talking about.
Maybe something personal. Something personal, not referring to the weather. What
No,
about
no,
you?
it's very clear. It's very clear.
It's clear. Okay.
If you say what about you after the
Yeah.
weather, everyone knows we're talking about the weather.
Okay.
It's very clear.
Mm.
Okay?
Mm.
Okay, we've got some other topics here. So let's go around the room and see what we could say. The venue, the hotel, the restaurant. So we're in a business situation. We're all at one particular hotel, venue, restaurant for the business activity, whatever it is, conference, meeting, whatever it is. What's something you might say to to break the ice about the venue?
What do you mean with venue, teacher? I don't understand this word.
That's a good question. Class, help him out. What's a venue? Does anyone know?
What's that word?
A big street.
A what?
A big street.
The big street.
A venue is no, that's an avenue.
No?
Avenue.
Okay.
That's an avenue, not a venue. Come on, who's it?
Place, main place for the event.
Exactly.
It's a like kind of square.
Exactly, a main place for an event.
I mean,
So Yuki, why don't you give us a line there?
Mhm.
To break the ice, to mention the venue, the hotel, the place where you are, what could you say to break the ice here?
I'm a great. I'm a very fond of eating good food.
Okay, okay.
Do you know?
That's good.
Do you know? If they are a good restaurant, that provides good food.
Well, if you're at a company event, they'll probably... Okay, but that's fine. Ask me that directly. You're talking to me?
Around there, here.
Sure.
Excuse me, teacher, but it's very strange to pass from the weather to this kind of question about city, hotel, restaurant.
We're not we're not passing from one to the other. I'm just talking about topics that might come up. I'm not saying to go in this order. There's no order here.
Yes, but he said that it's very warm here. And what about you? But how can I pass to describe venue, city, hotel, restaurant? It seemed very strange for me.
Oh, but I didn't get to the actual conversation yet. I'm just talking about individual topics that may come up. So the weather may come up. That's
yes.
Right? I'm not saying that you need to
but
talk about these
not a link.
things.
There is not a link in the conversation about the restaurant or something like this.
Well, there will be.
It's a kind of easy talk, yeah? It often happens after greeting. We talk about very easy things, very not heavy topics.
Yeah,
so
these are just
weather and
small
restaurant, hotel is a good topic to communicate for the first step.
So So individual topics, they're not linked together.
We must continue the conversation, teacher. What about there and after? What can I say? In order to link with the hotel or restaurant. That's the problem.
Yeah, but you don't need to link it. You don't need to.
I know.
Not yet. Not yet. We will. We're going to have a conversation in 5 minutes. But first, I want to just get some general English out in the open.
Yeah.
So Yuki says, do you know, is there, or maybe do you happen to know any restaurants around here? Do you happen to know?
Okay, this is a link.
I would say, imagine that we're at a particular venue. I would say something like this. Hey, what about the food here? Huh? That's a way to get people to start talking about it. In other words, you're saying it's good. Hey, what about the food here, huh? Not bad.
I think that we are found another kind of interesting object of talking, teacher. It's about the interest of the other people.
That I agree. You want to put the focus on asking them something.
Yes,
absolutely.
We have to find something in order to let talk the other people.
Absolutely, I agree. And both of these are inviting other people to speak. In both cases, the weather here is really. I'm used to. Look, we can go back to Paulo's idea here. You could say, I'm used to warm weather, because that's your introduction. Let's imagine that we're not in Germany. We're not in Brazil. We're in Germany. I'm used to warm weather. In Brazil, it's warm most of the time. What about you? What about where you are?
Yeah.
So it is. It's putting. It's like a tennis game. You're serving the ball to the other person.
Yes. We have to put the other people at ease.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree completely. Okay, we've got. Hang on one second. We got 3 more topics here. I want to get maybe one good comment or question for each, and I'd like to hear from. Let me see. I'd like to hear from some of our new people too. So, Sepkin, what would you say about travel issues? In work, we sometimes have to go to a conference or something like that. We've got to fly into it, or we've got to travel. It's a bit away from our jobs. What's something that you might say to get the conversation going related to travel?
Yeah, do you like to travel?
Wait, you're not Sepkin.
Yes, in Turkey there are many places to travel,
But remember, you're mingling. You're at a company event. How would you start the conversation with someone related to travel? What could you say to get the conversation started?
I like traveling, and I'm interested in museums and architecture. What about you?
Okay, so we've always got the "what about you" idea, like we did before. So the only problem there is, can we make that question more specifically about travel, though? How can we ask that question more specifically? Let me give you an example. Actually, I don't want to give you an example. I want you to give me an example.
You can, for example, ask questions about how was your trip?
There you go. How was your trip over here? Notice these extra words that I add. They make it sound a little bit more like a native speaker. How was your trip over here? Keep going. What else?
What is the best touristic place over here?
Okay, instead of touristic, we're going to say something a little different. So, look at this, Adi. What's there to see? around here. It means exactly what you said, but it sounds a little bit more informal and like a native speaker. And maybe you would say, have you done any sightseeing yet? There you go. Very good, very good. Well, let's go on to work and then how we end the conversation and move on. So asking about work. Remember, you don't know the other person yet, right? Abdul, how would you ask about work when you just meet someone? Ask about work or job.
There is two questions to spot up. The first one, what are you doing? And what is the most interesting thing in your work?
Okay. What is the most interesting thing? What was that?
In your work. So let's say I'm going to say it differently. Is what is the most interesting thing that you like about your work?
What is the most interesting thing about your work? Okay, there's only one problem. What are you doing could mean what are you doing in this moment? So how could we make it clear that we don't mean right now, we mean in general, we mean at your job? How can we change that question to be more clear?
What do you do? What do you do?
What do you do? What do you do for a living? If you really don't know the person, what do you do for a living? What if you're all working in forestry, like Sepkin? You're all at a forestry convention. You all know that you work in forestry, but you want to be more specific. So what's a more specific way to say what do you do? Once you know the field, what can you say more specifically?
I couldn't understand your question.
Let's say you meet people, and they're all in the same field.
Yes.
They're all in the same area. So you wouldn't say, what do you do for a living? Because you know. How could you ask that in a more specific way? If I meet another teacher, I don't say, what do you do? I know the person's a teacher.
So,
but I might want to. Yeah, go ahead.
What is your issue? What is your issue?
What's your not issue?
On work.
Not issue, but what's your? How about we say
research domain, for example?
Focus, yes.
Focus? And what was the other one I heard? Research what?
Research domain. Is it depend if you are a scientist, for example, it's mean that you have a topic where your PhD is going on, so this is
area of interest.
Mm.
Maybe is a good general way to say it. What's your focus? What's your area of interest?
Particular area of interest.
Sure. Yeah, why not? Why not? Particular. Hey, this all sounds pretty good. I mean, it sounds pretty natural so far, so I think we can use it. Let's take a look at the final thing. Ending the conversation, as well as moving on. You've got to be a little diplomatic, otherwise people might get the wrong impression. So, how do you signal that you're going to end the conversation or that it's time to move on, or you really genuinely want to talk but you can't for whatever reason?
I think, teacher, that there is not a particular area of interest in order to know, in order to put at ease the other people. It's about the hobby, his hobbies.
Oh, hobbies. Right. We can add it. Hang on just 1 second because I want to, whoops. I need to open something on my computer for the next section. Give me just a second here. There we go. Okay.
His private life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Let me give you a few quick examples here.
We are not only business teachers.
Of course. I agree. Let me give you one example for the last topic, though. For the moving on part. Let me go back here, and let me fix the screen so you can see it a little bit better. View, print and layout. There we go. Okay, here's an example. If you'll excuse me, I've just seen someone I know. So, making an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to find some way to end the conversation without offending the other person or giving the wrong impression. Okay, so what else could we say to end the conversation or to move on?
Yeah, perhaps it's very difficult to pass to his hobbies because it's very private, no? Something very private. And I don't know how can reach this area.
Well, before we go on to hobbies, let's look at this topic first.
Oh yes.
How do we end the conversation or move on in a polite way? Move on could also mean switching the subject. Doesn't just mean ending the conversation. So we can look at more than one thing here.
You can say, for example, it's very nice to meet you. We are now in a networking event, so we're going to meet new people.
It was very nice. It was very nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And what was the second part, Abdul?
You can say, for example, we are now on a networking event, and so we're going to move on to events.
Unfortunately, I can't hear what you're saying. I only hear the end. I heard it's very nice meeting you, and that was it. I couldn't hear the rest.
And then you can say, we are on a network event, so let's move on and meet new people. It can also be an ending of conversation.
It's very nice meeting you. I'm going to mingle.
No.
I'm going to circulate. I'm going to what's the word? Top up my drink. More of an excuse. I don't know if I would say I'm going to move on. That sounds a little bit too direct. That's like, you're not interesting, so I'm leaving. But if you say I'm going to mingle, or let's, I guess maybe if you say let's, you're not saying that you're going to do it, you're giving a suggestion. I'm going to mingle, or let's circulate. I'm going to top up my drink, or I'm going to, something like that, rather than move on. Maybe move on is a little bit direct.
Okay.
Okay, not bad. So let's try it out. Mingling at a network event. Mingle is the act of moving from person to person at a social or business event, introducing yourself, making small talk, before moving on to the next person. There are several rules to mingling. We do it standing up. We don't spend that much time. We don't go too deep. We exchange business cards, or I should say details. If you got your WhatsApp, you can use that. And each conversation elegantly. Well, that's the wrong word. Actually, it should be eloquently. Not abruptly. In other words, without causing offense. And so my question is, do you agree with all these rules? Are there any other rules or customs do you think we ought to add to the list?
Okay.
Is that a yes or no?
I think it's important to feel comfortable with the situation and trying to speak something that we like and have a sense of humor too.
Okay. That's not a bad idea. So, Be light. I mean, that's kind of similar to this one. Don't discuss anything too deep. But fine. Be light. Have a sense of humor. Okay, I agree. That's a good thing to keep in mind. Well, let's try it out. Imagine that you are a business person at a networking event. I'm down here. And you want to mingle with a new contact. You're going to introduce yourself, make small talk, exchange business cards. Well, I'm going to say details, not cards, and then move on. You can use your own information for this activity. In fact, I think you really should, because it's better to be as natural as possible. So, it says here, I will give each student a number. Well, I'm not going to give you a number. I'm just going to call on you. I will call out a pair, and then you, the students, will use... See, this is from another activity. Forget about the numbers. I'm just going to call on you. You will start to chat with each other. It says the trainer should say, when I call time, or maybe I'll say, time's up. I have to end the conversation. There's an example. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And listen for the next pair. I have to change that a little bit because I changed the activity. So, in this activity, go back to some of the language that we used before. You can also add others, but go back to some of these topics and go back to your tagline especially. Okay? So let's give it a try. I'll tell you what. I'll keep the taglines, I'll keep the target language here on the screen for you so you can see it. Okay? Let's give it a try.
Yes, I think
First,
this is another thing, teacher. I think that at the end of the conversation, when a person should say that it's very interesting having talking with him, and is looking forward to meet him or to hear from him another time, because in order to show interest towards
sure, I agree. So add that when it's your turn. Let's try it out. Let's try this out as an activity. First pair. Let's have Daniel and Abdul. The situation is you're socializing after a company event. You don't know each other, but you're both standing there looking at each other, and you don't want to feel stupid. Daniel and Abdul, are you ready?
Okay.
You decide who's going to mingle first.
Okay,
Sure.
me.
I am Abdul. I am from Sudan, working for Pfizer as a production supervisor. Nice to meet you. Who are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm Daniel Corral, a surveyor working for Prointech, and come from Spain.
From Spain.
From Spain.
Okay, and how was your trip over here?
Sorry?
How was your trip over here?
It was a little bit boring, but right now I'm happy because the weather in Spain is awful, and it's a good thing here is a little bit warm.
What about
what about you?
There you go.
What about the weather in Sudan?
It's in Sudan at the moment. I think it's very hot over there. So I'm living in Belgium, but it's snow at the moment. So very cold. So did you know any restaurants around here?
Of course, I like to eat. I like to eat in an Indian Asian
10
restaurant.
seconds left. 10 seconds.
Okay. So that's very interesting. Nice to meet you, and I'm gonna.
Nice to meet you too.
How could you have ended the conversation without changing the subject, Abdul? Instead of jumping to nice to meet you, how could you have linked what he was saying about the restaurant to leaving? How could you
For
have done that?
example, like, I'm definitely gonna visit it, for example, or can you
Check it out. Check it out.
Yeah, okay.
I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah.
So it was great meeting you, but I'm going to circulate. We'll talk later. Something like that.
Excuse me, teacher. A question, teacher.
No questions. We don't have time. Vincenzo and Ade, you're the next up. Are you ready?
No. He says the only question.
No questions. No time.
Why not? Why not? I don't understand.
Vincenzo and Ade, are you ready?
Yeah, yes.
Here we go. Vincenzo and Ade, you're at a company event. After the event is over, you're both there and you don't know each other. Who's going to break the ice first?
I'm going to talk with the name of the interlocutor, the other people. I don't know the name of the other
I know
people.
you don't know. You got to find out.
Okay. Okay. I'm Vincent from Rome, and now I'm retired. I work from a telecommunications company. And what about you?
Hi, Vincenzo. I'm Odi. I'm architect from Indonesia, working for Inner Space Idea, an architecture and interior design company based in Jakarta.
Oh, it's very interesting.
Yeah, very nice. And how about the weather today? How about the weather before you come here? Is it warm for you or is it really hard? Is it?
Do you mean the weather in Rome? Yeah.
Yeah. I could.
Yeah. Yes. Now it's raining. It's bad weather. And what about you? What about your weather?
In Indonesia is very hot and very hot, but recently there's a lot of rains.
Oh,
What about
yeah.
here?
And it's very interesting then to visit Indonesia. What do you mean? What do you? When it's possible to have a good time there?
What do you do to have a good time?
I'm hang out with my friends at the cafe and bars, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yes. Ah, yes. Where I can find a good restaurant?
Oh, you can find a good restaurant everywhere, almost everywhere, right here, Vicenzo. And I'm really glad to accompany if
Okay.
you want.
Okay.
10 seconds left. How are you going to end the conversation? 10 seconds left.
Oh, it was very interesting to talk with you, and I hope to meet another time. Thank you.
Yeah, it was
Bye.
very nice meeting you.
Here-
It was
here's
very nice to meeting you. Bye.
here's one suggestion. Instead of saying I hope to meet you later, why don't you promise, even if it's not true, just promise to meet them later. Hey, we'll talk later. It was great meeting you. We will.
All right. Yeah.
Even if it's not true, it sounds good. We'll
Yeah.
talk later.
I hope to meet you another time.
But I would say let's meet up later on, or I'll talk to you later. Hey, take my card. We'll talk later.
Okay.
Something like that. Listen, I'm going to start the business class, so I'm going to end here. The conversation sounded good. In the next speaking skills class, we're going to take this a little bit further. You'll have a chance to mingle and talk more specifically about what you do, and I'll add in some more realistic elements so that we're not just breaking the ice. Okay, I'm going to go now. I'll be back in 30 seconds for the business class, so stick around for our case study in the entrepreneurship unit of getting results in business. Be back in 30 seconds for that, everyone.